Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. A funny thing happened today. I looked out my window and found that I was literally locked into my house by snow. Schools were shut down, businesses were closed, and the roads were filled with people who can barely handle half an inch of inclement weather, let alone the amount we got. Which means that for the next 24 hours, I have every excuse to stay inside, get cozy, and make a dent in my backlog. Last week, we did our best to beat Diablo 2 with only poison damage, which was a hoot and a half, but this week, it's time to play a game that I haven't looked at in over a decade. Time to break out the Wii U and play Nintendo's answer to the RTS genre. Welcome, everyone, to Pikmin 1. If you've never played or heard of this game before, I weep for you. God, I love this series. It's the perfect combination of beautiful aesthetics, makes you wonder lore, and strategy. Or lack of strategy if you just want to bully everything in the game, because unsurprisingly, this game is a Nintendo game, and it's therefore accessible to anyone ages 8 to 98. But because playing this game as intended isn't what we're about, today we're gonna find out. Can you beat Pikmin 1 with only Yellow Pikmin? For those of you unfamiliar with the story, allow me to catch you up. We play as Captain Alamar, a transporter for the Hakatate Freight Company. And that is our ship. It's seen better days. On a routine trip, our ship was struck by a meteor and we crash-landed on a mysterious planet. Our ship is completely trashed and is missing several parts, making escape impossible. What's worse, the planet we've landed on has an atmosphere that contains the most poisonous toxin known to man. Oxygen. Damn, Pikmin, kinda rude to call out your audience like that. Thankfully, we have 30 days worth of life support, but once those 30 days are up, if we don't escape the planet, well, you know. I walk around a bit to get used to the controls, then find a strange-looking bulb. But don't worry, I graduated from the Prometheus School of Exploration, which means I instantly try to touch it. Behold, the Onion. A mysterious vessel that not only appears to be alive, but also spat out a seed at me. Well, I've already touched one alien species today. What's one more? This situation calls for brute force. And there it is, our very first Pikmin. Aw, he's so cute. At this point, the game finally gives me control of the camera, which lets us see the RTS roots. You can play as close or as far away as you like, and can play in third person or from a top-down point of view. Very good stuff. As for our Pikmin units, they're very easy to work with. You can bump into them if they're idle to make them fall in line, can throw them at objects and enemies, and can call them back to your side with a whistle. You can also control their directions, which doesn't do much for you with a single Pikmin, but when you've got a large swarm of them, well, you'll see. As far as other functions go, Pikmin can be used to gather objects from around the map. Throw or lead a Pikmin to a particular object, and they'll attempt to bring it back to the Onion or your ship. The number on top is how many Pikmin are required to carry the object, the number below is how many Pikmin are currently carrying it, and the color of the number shows which Onion the Pikmin are attempting to bring it to. Successfully bring an object to an Onion, and it'll convert the object to nutrients, and more seeds. More seeds means more Pikmin, and more Pikmin means bigger objects can be carried back to the base. Bigger objects means more seeds, you get the idea. But Pikmin is also a puzzle game, requiring specific strategies to complete, and it's here that the challenge of our challenge run begins. Many obstacles in this game require you to use the 3 different types of Pikmin to complete, because each type of unit has different properties, which led me to wonder, can you just not? Don't get me wrong, it won't be easy. Each Pikmin type is pretty vital to the game. The red Pikmin do more damage, the blue Pikmin can breathe underwater, and the yellow Pikmin, well, let's just say that they're part of the Academy. So with the groundwork laid out and everyone on the same page, let's begin the run proper. There's just one problem. How are we supposed to beat the game with only yellow Pikmin if we don't start with them? Well, turns out, these aren't red Pikmin at all. The color correction is just off. Here, let me just fix it. Ah, there we are. Yellow Pikmin. See? Problem solved. Oh god, Alamar, are you okay? You don't look so good. Alright, fine. No, you can't actually beat the entire game purely with yellow Pikmin. But you might be able to once you clear the tutorial. And besides, we all know tutorials don't count when it comes to challenge runs. I quickly build up my Pikmin forces, exploring the very limited map I have for every nutrient I can find, and eventually build up a large enough force that I can move the first obstacle in my path, a box that requires 10 Pikmin to push. And with that out of the way, we come across our first ship piece, the engine, of all things. Unfortunately, it takes 20 Pikmin to lift, and we only have 14 at the moment, which means it's time to build up our forces even more. And after returning with more Pikmin, we can now lift the engine and bring it back to base. It's a bit slow going at the moment, but we'll fix that in the future. And once the engine is within reach of the ship, it reattaches like a magnet, giving my ship flight capability and a way to get off the surface. It's not strong enough to escape the planet entirely, but we can at least avoid the carnivorous life forms that hunt at night. Huh, looks like the Pikmin have the same idea. Great minds think alike, I guess. One day down, one part grabbed, and tutorial completed. Now the real run can finally begin. Well, almost. We've got 2 more obstacles in our way, but we're almost there, and we've unlocked a new map, the Forest of Hope. Let's get to it. I head over to the Forbidden Onion, summon out the entire squadron of red Pikmin that I have, then set them to work breaking down the fungus wall that has us trapped inside our landing zone. It's slow going, and as you might have noticed at the top of the screen, time is no longer a commodity that we can afford to waste. Eventually, the wall comes down and we're able to push forward, sneaking past the sleeping nocturnal predators of the map and towards the last obstacle between me and my yellow Pikmin. Another wall. I tell my Pikmin to take care of it, then wander off to do some exploring, finding another missing part, the fuel dynamo. An easy enough piece to gather once we have the Pikmin to do so. I still have some time to kill, so I decide that it is indeed time to kill and murder as many small predators as I can with my bare fists. Olimar's damage is pretty abysmal in comparison to Pikmin, but it does keep my Pikmin safe. Don't think that this strategy works on every enemy in the game though. Larger enemies can be hurt, but they regenerate damage faster than you can deal it, and can't be beaten with fists alone. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Just take what you want and go away. Whew, I guess breaking line of sight gets rid of aggro. Oh hey, the wall's done. What's he doing? Oh god. Oh god, the little screams, I forgot how much it hurts! Well, might as well build some calluses around my heart now. That noise is going to haunt my dreams for the next several days after this run is said and done. I throw a single Pikmin to the side, then sacrifice the rest of my Pikmin to the Bulborb as penance for not using yellow Pikmin in the tutorial. Sorry little buddy, the rest of your friends didn't make it, but I promise you this, you will survive until the end of the game. You have my word. But with the walls broken down, we have a clear shot to the onion ahead, lying in wait and biding its time. And that time is indeed now, because color correction jokes aside, this is it, the yellow onion. And just like the red onion, it spits out a single seed. A single seed that produces our first yellow Pikmin. Welcome to the world, little guy. I hope you're ready for— oh my god, look at its cute little ears! But while those ears are absolutely adorable, that's not the reason I've chosen the yellow Pikmin as my challenge running tool of choice. The real reason, naturally, is because they can collect an item that I think you'll all recognize. That's right, they can hold firebombs. Didn't know there were Firebomb Academy scholars in Pikmin, did you? Using the firebombs is simple. Just toss a Pikmin holding a bomb at an enemy or object, and if it's appropriate, the Pikmin will throw the bomb at the target. However, it's important to note that these bombs do have friendly fire, so just throwing them willy-nilly will result in, well, let's just say that several of Young Lemon's Pikmin runs have ended in disaster. Now, firebombs are strong, but the larger enemies sometimes take more than one. And while my Pikmin are doing their best to avoid attacks, it's a bit hard to avoid a mouth that's 17 times larger than you are. But little Timmy's sacrifice was not in vain, and because of his efforts, his brethren will eat well today. I get a little more practice with the firebombs, with fantastic results, collect the spoils of war, then use my remaining firebombs to break down a stone wall nearby. Because as the Firebomb Academy teaches us, the solution to every video game puzzle is always bomb. I find a few more bombs, which I immediately use to break down another wall for later, then grow enough Pikmin so we can collect little Timmy's gift to the colony. And once it's collected, we can see that one Pikmin is indeed a worthwhile sacrifice. The army grows. But 33 is not an army, 100 is. And in order to reach those heights, we'll need to kill more enemies. A goal I feel fully confident in— oh crap, weevils! This is fine, everything's fine, we can outrun— oh god, a swarm! Well, nothing for it. Fight, my brothers! Take what is yours! Ugh, that was an ugly fight. Definitely could have handled that better. But we're still relearning the ropes. And though we lost several Pikmin in the fighting, each enemy brought back to the onion will replace the loss, and then some. But while my numbers grow into the 60s, we're running short on time. Night will be here soon, and with 29 parts missing and 29 days left on the clock, it would do us well to get at least one part each day. I pluck out all of the newly grown Pikmin, building our army to a respectable number, then realize with horror that I'd forgotten to clear the path leading back to the ship. Whoo! Damn, that was close. Must go faster. Must go faster! Thankfully, with more Pikmin carrying the part, we're able to outrun the Bulborb and bring the ship part, the radar, back to base. Which means I now have access to a map. A map which shows me where each individual ship part is hidden. Very useful indeed. I'd considered going out into the wild to collect that energy dynamo we saw earlier, but time was shorter than I expected. Did anyone else just get trauma flashbacks? No? What if I had this? Internal screaming aside, that's the end of day 2. Hell of a good start. Time for day 3. The first order of business is summoning the Firebomb Academy in its full strength. Boy, you all sure are excited today. Then getting my Pikmin an upgrade. By ripping up the grass around the area, there's a chance it will reveal some nectar. Nectar that is filled with nutrients, causing my Pikmin to flower. Why is that important? Simple. A flowered Pikmin is a fast Pikmin. And as we almost saw yesterday, speed can make all the difference. There are actually 3 evolutions of Pikmin. The leaf variant, a flower bud version, and the fully formed flower version. Becoming the next evolution doesn't change anything but their speed, so flower Pikmin won't be better at fighting or anything like that. But considering this entire game is a time limit, speed is the name of the game. Speaking of which, that's the Eternal Dynamo recovered. 3 parts down, 27 more to go. And if we can find 2 more, we'll unlock a new map as well. I used fire bombs to blow up the last bulb orb in the area, so that any future treasures I find won't have to worry about getting attacked. Then watch as my Pikmin army grows into the triple digits. Which actually brings us to another mechanic of Pikmin. You can't have more than 100 Pikmin out on the field at any given time. Shame that, but it's for a good reason. Having 100 units out on the field can make maneuvering around obstacles and hazards difficult, but enemies become absolutely trivial when you've got a full swarm. Because even though yellow Pikmin aren't the strongest fighters in the game, death by 1,000 cuts is still death. Another benefit of having all 100 Pikmin on the field is that when you bring spoils back to the onion, you still gain Pikmin, but no seeds are actually produced. This means you don't have to spend any time plucking Pikmin out of the ground. They grow fully formed inside the onion itself, ready to be called out when needed. Now granted, skipping the plucking step means that we can't let them naturally mature in the ground, because Pikmin are indeed plants, and if you leave them in the ground long enough, they'll eventually evolve on their own. But for our purposes, I'd rather just grow Pikmin immediately and evolve them with nectar later. That way, when I inevitably make a stupid mistake later and lose hundreds of Pikmin, I can just grab another batch and press on. At this point in the game, we're just exploring the map and finding as much treasure as we can. I set my Pikmin to destroying a stronger fungus wall, then find another treasure piece hidden behind a stronger rock wall, which will require more bombs to break as well. We could use fire bombs against the fungus walls, but because there are only a limited number of bombs to collect each day, I thought it better to rely on my Pikmin's brute strength instead. And I'm glad I did. Turns out the stronger rock wall takes 9 bombs to break, which is almost every bomb I have access to at the current time. But break it eventually does, which gives me access to the extraordinary bolt. I'm not sure why it's extraordinary. Even Alamar doesn't know. But bolts are rarely unimportant, especially in a spaceship, so collect it we must. Another piece collected, 26 more to go. With only a little more time left in the day, I decide to... Wait, what's this? Is this a... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. We could have skipped the wall? Ah, well, we would have needed to break the wall later to get the treasure up ahead anyway. Guess it's not a total loss. I take my anger out on all the local wildlife, losing a few Pikmin in the process because I make the rookie mistake of attacking head-on instead of from behind, then find the Nova Blaster. I'd say this piece is absolutely critical, but considering it didn't exactly help me when my ship was hit by a meteor, this might be another piece that Alamar bought because it looked cool. Guys, I'm starting to think we're not a good captain. But we are a semi-decent leader, because our Pikmin are still able to bring the Nova Blaster back to the ship before the end of the day, which means we now have enough parts to explore a new map. Which is good, because had we not been able to grab the part before sundown, we would have had to waste an entire day coming back to this area. A day we can now spend exploring a new map instead. I know it feels like everything is fine. After all, we're gathering more than one piece a day. But things get harder as it goes on, and we're gonna need every spare day we can get. But that's for future Lemon to worry about. For now, let's explore the new area, the Forest Navel. Looks ominous. Well, only one solution for that, 100 Pikmin, right out the gate. I take a minute to upgrade my forces, because God only knows what we'll need to outrun on this map, then find several things my Pikmin can interact with. One is a lump of dirt that, when destroyed by the Pikmin, creates a geyser that can boost Alamar to new areas, and the other is a stick, which once extended can act as a ladder for the Pikmin, so they too can get to new areas. What the hell is that thing? Oh God, it's coming right for us. Kill it! Kill it with fire! Oh, it's not actually aggressive. Kill it! Kill it with fire! Well, say what you will about the little bugger. It's sturdy as hell. It appears to walk on a specific path, and that path is leading it towards more enemies down below. I think we'll let it go for now. Besides, I've got more exploring to do. What is that? Oh God, it's cute. Kill it! Kill it with... These little wisps actually are worth attacking, as they drop nectar when hit. And let's be honest, everything in this game is cute, so killing cute things is just something we're gonna have to get used to. In any case, I find a gear of some kind up on a ledge, which is easily accessible by extending a stick, and though the game tried to pull a nasty surprise down below, my swarm is able to quickly remove the threat. Unfortunately, this map is littered with obstacles, so getting the gear back to the base takes longer than it should. But eventually, the Pikmin get it back to base in one piece. Oh, Alamar, no. That's not how repairing works. I was also able to finally kill that adorable bread bug. And wouldn't you know it, the little beastie somehow swallowed my space flotation device, which means another spaceship part collected. 7 pieces down, with 5 more unlocking us a new map. Onward to victory. With the day half over, I decided it was time to unlock the one thing I'm supposed to find on the map. The final version of Pikmin in the game. The blues. Being able to breathe underwater is their one defining trait. Nothing too special. Is what I would say if this weren't a puzzle game. Something tells me that this is going to be a real hard problem to work around later on. But again, that's for future Lemon to worry about. I send little Georgie here back into his onion, never to return, then finish off the rest of the day with some obstacle removal. Oh god, I wasn't paying attention. We were out for too long. Come on, get up the bridge. We have to get your brothers. Oh, Jesus. Is that everyone? Please say that's everyone. Accidentally leaving someone behind is the worst. Please no dead Pikmin. Please no dead Pikmin. Please no dead Pikmin. Please no dead Pikmin. Oh, thank God. That's the last time we play that close to the timer. Never again. We did leave some Pikmin planted in the ground before we left, which is why our counter was off at the bottom of the screen. But planted Pikmin are safe from predators, so it's all good. Looks like one of our parts is inside that living mushroom. Hope you're ready, boys. As a warm-up, I tried to kill one of the blow pigs that will inevitably get in our way when we bring the treasure home. It did not go well. Nothing a little swarming couldn't fix, but whoo, baby, do I wish I could use red Pikmin right now. Yeah, forgot to mention that. Red Pikmin are fireproof. Safe bet that that'll come up in some puzzles later. But despite losing a few friends to fire and frogs, it was all for the good of the colony, with our numbers now above 200. There are a few more threats between me and the mushroom mini-boss, which are easy when you're playing well, and absolutely brutal when you aren't. God, I hate the frogs. But eventually, it's time for the mini-boss. Its head is too hard for aerial attacks, but if you swarm its legs, it topples over, revealing its delicious meaty belly beneath. Now, it does have a counterattack you need to dodge, which I've never been hit with before, but apparently it turns your Pikmin into zombies, turning them against you. Thanks, I hate it. But with a little top-down precision, we can keep our boys on target and defeat the mini-boss with ease, revealing another ship part. Ah yes, the Omega Stabilizer. Very important, I'm sure. Now all we need to do is time this right and we can get it up the hill. Oops. Quickly, move faster, and we're good to go. I wasn't worried, you're worried. Anyway, that's about all the time we have for day 5. 8 pieces in 5 days, not bad. I come back again on day 6 and begin to flex one of the special abilities of Yellow Pikmin to somewhat break the game. You're not supposed to be able to throw Pikmin up here, and are supposed to use blue Pikmin to walk around the water and approach this part from the other side, but with the power of persistence and the fact that Yellow Pikmin fly higher than other Pikmin when thrown, we can skip that puzzle entirely. After that, it's simply a matter of time before the bridge is complete, and my Pikmin can bring the ship piece back home. Oh hey, we found the bombs on this map. Guess I'll need to complete this puzzle after all. I mean, I guess I could just grab the bombs and throw my Pikmin back up onto the ledge, but I like the feeling of having a completed puzzle. Forward, children of the bomb. We have work to do. First up is a stone wall just outside the mushroom mini-boss arena. We break the wall with 3 bombs to spare, but it's just an empty arena. Okay, my spidey sense is going off the charts right now. Oh god, that's not what I meant! Well, I tried using bombs against it, but either my boys can't throw the bombs high enough, or this thing is resistant to bomb damage. So that's out. This is one of those enemies that is best fought with a small number of Pikmin, which we'll soon have. It's a simple enough fight. Just throw Pikmin at the body, and do your best to save all the ones it shakes off. And maybe stop getting stepped on? Just a thought. Well, it took an upsetting amount of deaths, but eventually we take down the beady longlegs. And for our troubles, we're awarded with a pittance of pellets, but also a ship part. Worth it, I guess? And naturally, there's flame jets all along the path home. Because of course there is. I tried to time it in such a way that my Pikmin could get across the flames, but they just aren't fast enough with the bare minimum. Thankfully, some dangerous timing and an entire swarm of bodies is all it takes to finally get past the issue. However, there's another issue now. I'm not sure why, but my Pikmin appear to think that this is the path the spring needs to go through. I'm not sure why the normal pathing is no longer acceptable, but sure, fine, I'll play ball. I find some more bombs hiding amongst the puddles near the base, which I collect and slowly bring back home, but after all of that, it turns out there weren't enough bombs to break down the wall, or enough time in the day for that matter. The next day, I bring back more bombs to finish the job, then escort the ship part back into the base where it belongs. After that, it appears there's at least one more piece not sitting in the middle of water, so we might as well spend the rest of the day getting that one. I do my best to sneak past the blowhogs, but one of them has decided to set up camp right by the fungus gate that blocks the path. It's a messy fight. Pikmin are on fire, getting stuck on the gate, getting thrown into the nearby lake. God, what I would give for some red Pikmin right now. There's also a whole batch of blowhogs on the way back as well that I need to deal with. Otherwise, this'll just keep happening. Thankfully, I remembered that I have a whole bunch of firebombs I'm not using. Why didn't you use the firebombs on the first pit? Yes, thank you, Captain Hindsight. Whatever would we do without your help? With several firebombs left over, I decide enough is enough and use them against the gate. Then carefully escort my remaining forces past all of the flame jets and up to the bridge they need to build. There's another ship part further up, but it's surrounded by water, so that one's out of our reach. For now. So instead, let's focus on getting this last piece. Oh hey, I think I can see Manus from up here. And with the bridge complete, I can now... Fuck. Well, nothing more to be done with that day. Guess we'll just have to take our one ship piece and be happy with it. Still plenty of parts lying around in the Forest of Hope though. I put some Pikmin up on this ledge here, use firebombs to clear the path of any predators, of which there are many, Then take a nice peaceful stroll amongst the carnage I have wrought with a second squad of Pikmin who aren't holding bombs to make our way to the next puzzle. You're supposed to use blue Pikmin here, bringing them through the water and throwing them up behind the box, but all that increased throwing distance with the yellows lets me skip that puzzle entirely, which means I can now make my way over to the Pikmin I threw on the ledge. And there are snake birds, because of course there are. Like all the bosses, the burrowing Snagret isn't hard if you know how to fight it, but can result in tremendous Pikmin losses if you don't. With careful aiming, you can throw a Pikmin onto its head and do damage, but if your aim is off, that leaves a number of your Pikmin exposed around its base, which means dead Pikmin. However, if you're like me and don't trust your aim, there's another way. If you're patient, the Snagret will burrow in an attempt to get closer to you, and every so often, its surfacing animation looks like this, which gives you just enough time to swarm your Pikmin over its face, giving them easy access and keeping the danger minimal. Just make sure to call them off before the Snagret fully emerges, and they'll safely escape its clutches without risk. This animation doesn't always happen, so it takes longer, but sometimes safety is more important than speed. And after about half a day of careful fighting, the Snagret goes down. Was that a chicken noise? Lots of little rewards for killing that one, but I went all hands on deck for the ship part. Because there's 2 more Snagrets out there, and I don't have time to fight them. But with the Geiger counter collected, and the rest of my kills slowly being carted back to the Onion, I'd say that was a pretty productive day. The parts are taking longer to gather, but so long as we keep getting at least 1 a day, we're ahead. The next day, I take a squadron of Pikmin over to the left side of the base camp, throw them up on this ledge here, carefully maneuver up this tree root, then quietly whistle as loud as I can to get the Pikmin over to the ship part just waiting for us to recover it. Alright boys, I know you're going to want to take the shortest path, but we've got plenty of time today, so if we could just take the longer but safer path— No, sure, that's fine, just jam that spring right up there, I'm sure he'll enjoy that. Well, we only lost 3 Pikmin. Honestly, all things considered, those are acceptable losses. And with that part recovered, we found 12 parts, which means our ship's range increases yet again and we've unlocked a new map. Fantastic stuff. But the day is young, and there's one more part I think we can get. And it's right over there. Unfortunately for our test subject here, the distance is a bit too far to throw a Pikmin across. But there's a glitch we can use in our favor. Each Pikmin has a few seconds in water before they drown. But if you whistle and bump into them while in the water, this can sometimes reset the drowning timer, which means that when done correctly, we can drown a Pikmin forever. Wait, stop, put down the phone, that came out wrong. It's not 100% necessary, but by using this glitch, we can almost guarantee that we can get a Pikmin across the water and over to the other side. Where, upon getting up onto this ledge here, we can toss them up behind the bridge where they can begin construction. It takes a long time, but I wasn't planning on doing anything else today anyway, and progress is getting faster. Eventually, it reaches the point where the bridge is long enough that I can just start throwing Pikmin across the gap. And before you know it, the bridges are complete, which means we can get our last treasure, and just in time too. With a few seconds to spare, my boys are able to bring the jewel from my son back to the ship, bringing our total parts to lucky number 13. Time for the second to last map in the game. The distant spring. Whoo, boy, that's a lot of water. It's fine, everything's fine. Let's see what we're looking at. Looks like we've got a large number of parts here, and while a good number of them are in the water, there does appear to be plenty on the land as well. I sense a lot of forever drowning Pikmin in my future. Should be a good time. Well, first things first, there's a part over there that I want. I throw some Pikmin up onto the ledge, carefully lead them around the curve, then lead them around the bend and dismiss them, so that they don't throw themselves into the water, but rather latch onto the ship part instead. Alright, well done boys, now bring it home. Yeah, no, probably should have seen that coming. Well, that was the worst thing ever, but the day is young, and there's an entire map to explore still. Good lord, the enemies on this map are hostile. I'm not sure why they all hate Pikmin so much, but it shows. Okay, this one. This part I can get. All I need to... Why? Okay, new plan. Murder everything. And it has way more health than I was expecting. And that puffy blowhog knocking over all my Pikmin isn't helping. Okay, one down. And there goes the blowhog. And I know it's a little hard to see, but you're just gonna have to trust me that the snitch bug is dead now too. And now oh, right, there's like 7 more. God, this map is the worst. There are enemies everywhere. Big ones that require careful planning. Careful planning that frantically shatters to pieces when enemies come burrowing out of the ground when you least expect it. Combine that with the fact that this map is very large and covered in obstacles, and you're in for a very bad time. This one is gonna be harder than I thought. Alright, fresh day. First order of business is to clear the pathways of enemies, then once that's taken care of, steal all the firebombs in this, skull, then blow up this wall. And of course, there aren't enough bombs to finish the job. Why would there be? Okay, new target. There's a treasure across these 2 bridges. You all know the strategy for this one. Build up one bridge, drown Pikmin to get to the other. And while they work on that, I take a second squad and begin knocking down all the fungus walls we'll need to demolish as well. I do my best to run interference so my Pikmin can work, and though it's a bit messy, we eventually get the job done. Another day without a new ship part though. That doesn't bode well. The next day, we finally bring down the stone wall that has been blocking my efforts, which allows me to bring home my pilot seat. Kinda afraid to ask what Alamar's been sitting on this entire time. After that, it's time for the bridge. I find the shortest gap to throw my Pikmin across, and so long as I time things properly with the frog, there's no risk of it noticing my little construction crew. And, just as before, once the crew completes enough of the bridge, it becomes a simple matter of throwing my Pikmin from one bridge to the other. This part is heavier than most, and time is running out, but I'm sure we can get the job done. Come on, boys, move those feet. You're almost there. Whew, 3 seconds to spare. Finally, some progress. I haven't been mentioning it much, but Alamar writes a journal entry every time he leaves the planet. And today's journal entry suggests that, while we aren't getting the parts fast enough, we might not need them all. So you're saying there's a chance. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, a majority of the parts that I need are either submerged in water or require Pikmin to carry them across water to bring them home, which obviously is a problem for us. However, after some research, I might have a solution. The first thing I found is that Alamar has a move I didn't know about. He can just throw himself onto the floor and have a snooze, which is actually a game mechanic, not just a funny Easter egg. Take a nap around your Pikmin and they'll carry you. Alright, now that's what I call service. Say, where are we going? Boys? Wait, why are you taking me to the onion? Hello? Oh god, wait, no, I'm not food! Ooh, that was close. The hell was that? Oh hey, fireworks. Completely unwarranted coup attempt aside, this rest mechanic has some interesting results when used near ship parts. The game doesn't like it when 2 objects overlap one another, and it just so happens that the rest animation tends to lay Alamar in such a way that he overlaps with whatever he's laying next to. Now, don't be fooled. This is incredibly hard to pull off at first, and some objects will resist you more than the others when you try to lay down next to them. But if done properly, you can maybe, just maybe, get the ship part to move. Fun fact about the rest mechanic, Alamar can't be hurt while laying down. And if he just so happens to get nudged while laying down, maybe perhaps nudged into a ship part, well, would you look at that? Now, don't get me wrong, progress is slow. Very, very slow. And some of these parts are very far from their respective shorelines. Combine this with the fact that the game really doesn't like it when you do this, and can sometimes send you straight to the abyss, and you've got a wild time ahead of you. How much further do we need to... Oh, yeah, okay. Let's reset the day and try a different part. I want to make sure I can actually retrieve the parts before I spend the next 7 days trying to fish this one out of the ocean. Now here's the thing. While there are reports of this mechanic being present in the game, I couldn't find any video footage of it anywhere. No tips, no tricks, just a single line or two in a wiki about how it's possible. So, for those of you who like to break games, here's how you do it. Run straight at the object in question, then right as Alamar is about to bounce off of it, press the lay down button. If you're touching any other buttons, he'll fail to lay down and pop right back up. So you've got to be quick. But if you can get it right, you'll notice the object you're running into move just a little bit. I don't normally do time lapses because the rapid movement makes me sick, and I feel like others might feel the same, but just as a proof of concept, here's me taking an entire half a day to move this stupid jet engine across the pond. And it is moving, it's just incredibly slow. On day 2 of nudging this object, we bump into a snag. No matter how hard I try, this stupid thing refuses to go up the ramp. The incline is a bit too sharp, and no matter how many drop kicks I deliver into its chrome plating, it just can't get up the slope. There was a glimpse of hope at the halfway point in the day though, when the jet suddenly grafted itself onto the ramp, but then came problem number 2. The stupid thing won't come off of the new elevation. I spent all day trying to get it up the slope, but to no avail. I even tried getting a Pikmin to help, thinking that might be just enough to get it to go in the right direction, but unfortunately my Pikmin can't handle their toes getting wet and are of no use to me here. So, after careful consideration, I decided to reset the day and try something else. Because as it turns out, there's still one more part in the Forest of Hope that's completely land-based. The reason I skipped it is because the obstacle that blocks it is not. At first, I tried throwing a firebomb on top of it, but the Pikmin decided to try and get a better angle and immediately fell into the water on the other side. Turns out, firebombs don't work when wet. My next thought was to throw a Pikmin above it, which worked fine. Except they lost sight of the target, and when called back, immediately fell into the water and lost their firebomb. But if you aim for just the right spot, you can get a Pikmin to run across the bridge and drop their bomb on top, doing damage and lowering it by 1 stage. And once you know the spot, it's easily reproducible. 1 barrier down, 1 more to go. Thankfully, this one is much easier to line up, since you can throw your Pikmin into the area from below rather than dealing with the water pool. And with just a few more bombs, the wall falls, meaning the last ship part of the map is ours for the taking. I amass an army, then lead them into battle. This behemoth looks intimidating, but it's easily handled if you know how to fight it. Which I do not, apparently. What was supposed to happen was that when it sucks in to shoot its boulder at you, you can plug its blowhole with a Pikmin, after which its weak body opens up and you can begin the assault proper. Do this several times, and it goes down without much effort. And for my troubles, the radiation canopy of my ship. Oh my god, Alamar, have you just been sitting in your ship without this thing? Oh my god, you have! How are you still alive? I mean, yeah, we're not going into space, but that's still a high atmosphere. Man is either a beast or a machine. But with that part acquired, we've officially gotten every single piece from the Forest of Hope. Truly, it deserves its name. And with that fresh hope in my heart, it's time to revisit the impact site. Not only is this a great map for replenishing your Pikmin population, but there's still one more ship part to collect here as well. I break down all the walls around the area, then locate the piece itself. This could be a bit tricky. Send out the volunteer. Huh, okay, so you can hurt the clam no problem. It's the getting your Pikmin back that's the issue. It takes several willing participants, but eventually we get the clam to spit out the treasure. Mission complete. Sort of. Well, on to the next problem. While my Pikmin head back to base to replenish their numbers, I begin to dropkick the ship part. Thankfully, to my surprise, I've either gotten very good at the technique, or this piece is very willing to move. Either way, things are looking up. That is, until we get to the shoreline, which once again gives me trouble. I don't know why, but the damn thing just won't change planes. The code simply won't allow it without being forced. And don't get me wrong, you can force it, but it just creates the whole new problem of being stuck on the new plane. And this one is even harder to work with because you can't get a proper hitbox collision. I spent the entire next day pushing this piece into a corner, hoping that by doing so I'd force the piece into a tight squeeze that would just pop it out of the water, but no dice there either. The part simply won't play ball. Things aren't looking good. Desperate, I had one more idea. Much like the frogs, if you can get an object to bump into the ship part, it'll move the part. I volunteer some Pikmin to move a nearby pellet closer to the part, then begin the process again. But wouldn't you know it, the problem goes both ways. I was able to get the pellet onto the new plane, but now it won't come off. You'd think the downward slope would make this easier, like the pellet would want to keep moving to the lower ground, but nope. You can actively see the pellet resisting me, getting sucked back onto the shoreline when I move away. Eventually, after an entire day of trying, I was able to finally get the pellet off of the shore by getting it to the sharpest corner, then letting Alamar slide down the slope with it. But now we have a new problem. The pellet can push the part, but the part just squeezes down the shoreline rather than going upward. This sucks. The thing I hate most about this is that we're so close. If I could just get these stupid parts up their respective shorelines, I could get all of the parts easily. There's no other obstacles in my way. Water is the only thing holding this run back. But no matter which parts I try, no matter how hard I push, the ship pieces simply won't budge. At this point, things are getting desperate. If I can't get these objects out of the water, and if my Pikmin can't reach them, the small number of parts I've collected for my ship might not be enough. There's so few parts left. I just need a little more time, a little more experimentation. Maybe, just maybe, with enough desperation, we could make it work. But there's just not enough time left. And in the end, I make the call. We'll get every part we physically can, and then we'll let Lady Luck decide our fate. A tanker bug in the middle of the distant spring has one of the parts inside its belly, but I'm familiar with how to fight them now. Victory is swift. The bug's death is not. 17 parts collected, 13 to go. I clear the area of any enemies that might be a problem later, then think outside the box and ignore the maze entirely. And would you look at that? Easy access to the UV lamp. That was much easier than I thought it would be. And while I could risk my Pikmin and force them to run all the way around the map, I seem to be developing feelings. And the thought of them dying unnecessarily for my sake feels wrong. So instead, I go out of my way to break down the barriers and bring my boys home safe and sound. There are 2 more parts in the corner of the map. One lies up in the actual corner, while the other sits on top of the running stack of bricks. Both are easily grabbable by my Pikmin, but the problem lies in the pathing. While I can easily get my Pikmin to the parts themselves, I'd be kidding myself if I thought that the Pikmin would take any path other than through the water. There's another part across a very short gap on the other side of the map, and while I can easily outmaneuver the fungus gate and bring it down, the little segment of water makes me think that it's all for nothing. But we've come this far, might as well try. I was able to get the gear into the water itself, but unfortunately, even with this frog's help, the gear just doesn't want to budge onto the next shoreline. I can push it back and forth no problem, but the real issue is that there's not a whole lot of room to maneuver, and I can't get enough of a running start to try and get it up the shore. I want this to work so badly. It's so damn close I can almost taste it, but I have a feeling that if this was ever to work, it would be sheer and complete luck, as opposed to something consistently reproducible, which means there's only one part left that is for certain doable, the one across the bridge. I bring my Pikmin over the gap, kill some bugs that keep trying to drown themselves, then send over the rest of the construction crew when the job is halfway complete. After that, I have one last battle with the spotty bull bear guarding my massage chair, and watch with both satisfaction and a feeling of unease as this last part goes into the ship. 19 of 30 pieces. Only time will tell if it's enough. In the interest of being thorough, I check on the last piece of the map, but it appears to be inside this blowhog. And while I could probably attack and kill it, the ship part itself would end up in the water, so there's no hope there. In a final gasp of desperation, I spend one more day trying to make the ship parts cooperate, pushing with all of my strength against their uncaring metal forms. The result is the same as before. Gravity, as heartless and merciless as ever, ignores my pleas. And so, with 12 days remaining, there's nothing left to try. We've run out of parts to collect. Thoughts of family come unbidden, but not unwelcome. Comfort in these trying times. And yet, they're not the only comfort I have. The Pikmin, alien as they are my family now. Each one a brother, a fellow soldier in arms, a fellow scholar of the Firebomb Academy. And so, I make one final decision. Even if the hope of my ship making it off this planet is fleeting at best, I won't leave these creatures who have given me that hope to the wilderness. Even if I don't make it, they will. I will teach them how to fight, teach them how to survive, and give them the numbers that make them not prey, but predators. And so the colony grows, from 400 to 600 to over 1,000 strong. Our numbers are so great that even the Onion doesn't know how to comprehend our new strength, unable to properly count the mass inside it. And after days of battle, days of establishing a new hierarchy among the beasts of this world, the final day arrives. One more day of life support. One more day before oxygen fills my lungs and I am forced to face the gravity of this planet one last time. I try my best to remain hopeful. The Pikmin themselves seem to sense my apprehension and even throw me a last-minute celebration. The fireworks are beautiful. And so, with one last look back, I enter my ship and ascend. I've done all I can for the Pikmin. Hopefully they retain the survival skills they've learned this last month and can thrive on this world without me. This world that feels oddly like home. They've always been strong, and now they know it. Now I have to be too.